or death.
Look at the cover that you can judge to say what kind of content is on this project. You know that you look at a cover like that we're not talking about booty rap and, you know, and the shininess of my car and the rims.
What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker here on Unique Access Entertainment. As always, please hit that subscribe button. It's right down there and it's free. That enables us to keep coming to y'all as often as possible with as many interviews as possible. So please hit that subscribe button, like our content, share it, talk about it, be about it, each one, teach one. We appreciate your guys' support and getting us this far. Now, today, we have the honor and the privilege of being joined by Brother Jay. Brother Jay, thank you for coming through, sir.
Peace and blessings, brother. Good to see you.
Yes, always a pleasure. And for Brother Jay, for cover story, we are going to be doing X-Clan's To the East Blackwards. Now, I remember when I first saw this album cover, I was blown away on so many levels because, one, I knew at this point, I knew basically what the members of X-Clan looked like, and I knew several of the other people featured on the cover, but I didn't know everybody featured on the cover. So. So many questions right off the gate. So for that, given that X-Clan was a big movement, remains a big movement, but also all these historical figures you had on it, how did you decide the concept of featuring all these historical figures beside you guys?
Well, the key thing about the X-Clan album at that time was the crossroads, where all of it comes together. And PX's idea of having the pink caddy, which was similar to what the McLaren was in Back to the Future, a vehicle, the 5'9", the mathematics of the 5 and the 9, which is power, refinement, and born, and then having the faces of all of the elders and the Black Watch movement, because the X-Clan and the Black Watch are two separate situations, but one. X-Clan was the messenger group and Black Watch was the movement. So we got to show faces of other members of the movement at the crossroads, those that were going to become the leaders. So you see Marcus Garvey, then you would see Queen Mother Rage. You would see Isis, and you would see Harriet Tubman. So these were people that were going to become future leaders. So that's what the cover was basically putting together, all meeting at the common denominator, which was the crossroads.
Okay.
So that was the base of that.
And then with you, there weren't as many people as there were with Paradise or Professor X. So how did it end up where you didn't have as many people around you, or is that just coincidence?
This was just artwork. You know what I'm saying? That was just artwork. It wasn't more people in this side of the X or this side. Those are all of our family, all of our ancestors, and all of the future of what the movements will be. You know what I'm saying? Our hopes. When soldiers are preparing, you want everybody to be a General Patton or great whatever. You know what I'm saying? How far they go is up to them. So, the cover meant we hope that y'all are the next, Underground Railroad builders and so on. Or we hoping that we don't need the movements and we can just exist in peace. But for the time frame that we're at war, this is our contribution, and that's what that cover basically meant.
Yeah, well, existing in peace would be a beautiful thing. We need that.
Indeed, man, indeed.
And to that, speaking of the Underground Railroad, you got Harriet Tubman on there and Noble Drew Ali. You got so many people: Haile Selassie, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr. So what was the process of picking who you guys ended up on there? Because Clarence 13X is on there. It's a wide range of people.
Well, the people that you're mentioning are people who were in charge of movements. You know what I'm saying? They were part of the understanding, which shows that it's all of our effort and not just one. All right. So it wasn't like we just put one leader that speaks in behalf of everyone. We're putting out all the elements, leaders in rhythm, leaders in underground understanding as far as gathering people for justice, You know, people who led schools, you know, Noble Joe Ali, very powerful, intelligent man. You know what I'm saying? Schools of thought come behind his grasping of the light. So, of course, you know what I'm saying? These people will be included on a cover like that when we're talking about what we hope the present day movement will become. Shit. you already know. You know, it's we don't want to name call. These are who you should be studying. These are just sprinkles of thousands of people who have contributed to the movement. We can't obviously put everyone on board, but these are some key people or key points of research that you can start doing. Just like how you looked on there and saw who was on there, we were hoping that they would look at the cover and say, who is this? I'm not familiar. Somebody say, oh man, that's Haile Selassie. He did A, B, and C. You know what I'm saying? And then you do your own research to see if that math adds to your life or not. If it doesn't add to your life, then leave it alone.
Well, as you could tell, and you know me obviously, but it definitely added to my life quite a bit. So yes,
Yes, yes,
I always appreciated that. Plus, it was always good to, you know, do the research and figure out. Like I knew who Clarence 13X was, but I didn't know much about him at the time that I got the album. So,
correct.
And with a lot of the people on there. That being said, I also always appreciated that obviously ISIS is on there, but you have other women. So I wanted you to speak to the importance of having women represented on the cover as well.
Well, I mean, it's nothing without them. The combination of man and woman is what makes the nation. So, you know, we're not forced to say, let's put ISIS on the cover because we don't have a first lady of rap or whatever. No, she's one of many women that were part of our movement. You understand me? So there's no way that we can just do our cover in the rough X Clan and just a bunch of Black leaders around. It don't sit right. But now as we come 30 years later discussing this cover, look at the silver lining that we can discuss. You know, ISIS was amongst other great leaders, both men and women. So it wasn't a gender thing. It wasn't any of that. It was like all greatness here. That's how you're supposed to feel when you're describing the nation of peace. And that's the only reason we're fighting. We're not fighting because we're angry people. We're fighting because there's a worldwide problem, a disease of ignorance from back then to before us. And all we're doing is transmitting it through rhythm. We have a stronger platform to offer now because we have music. So that time where covers were, you know, the shit, when you go and it was like a library and you go in there and you look at the covers and you say, oh man, look at the dimensions of this artist by their artwork. Look at the cover that you can judge to say what kind of content is on this project. You know that you look at a cover like that we're not talking about booty rap and, you know, and the shininess of my car and the rims, you know. So, you know, yeah, so the women are welcome. And the type of vibration that these women set off are like, we're not a dime or a dozen. You know what I'm saying? Step up in understanding if you want to build with a woman of my caliber. That also can be said from that cover. Because a lot of people don't include the woman in rap or in organizations and stuff when they bring themselves to the public. And I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? But we made it a staple to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because they were putting their input into the organization of the movement, the fan letters, the dealing with the social injustice marches and stuff that we were doing with Yusef Hawkins and Gavin Cato and all these other things. They helped us to organize. And all we had to do was be good protectors. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of story behind the woman on those covers, man. You know, a lot of positive building, a lot of things that they were learning at that time as soldiers, man, in the Blackwards movement. So
Yeah, absolutely. I always obviously noticed it and appreciated it and thought it was very important. Also with the vehicle, the pink caddy, you know, I read back in the day and I remember that that was some of his relatives kind of had those cars or inspired him. So what was the symbolism of that for you for the cover?
I mean, the Cadillac was, you know, for Blackness was like, you made it, you know, you got that bread. It's like how people treat the Benz now. You know what I'm saying? So just as a symbol in that, in blackness, and then the numbers, the time machine factor of it all, and then the relevance of the color. If it was going to be black, green, whatever it was, pink stands out. All right. And my brother, knowing marketing at that time, it's like, yo, man, I want to take the pink caddy, make it a time machine, let us ride from, throughout the channels of time and let you tell your scientific poetry to these people. And I'm rough edge at the time, like, man, why can't it be a black? I would have had a Hummer or something, or, something like a Batmobile or something that would have really just been out of place. The pink caddy fits so right because I still talk about it 30 years later to people, yo, man, y'all still have the pink caddy, y'all still had this. And it taught me something. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't like, why y'all riding in a pink car? It wasn't a question about gender and why you doing it. Look, now you see candy paint everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about the pimping, all right, and the pimping not in the negative sense, like we're sending woman up the street saying, bring my money back. Learning how to take this alphabet and pimp it and make sure that it brings us something back. This slop English language that we have that is only made for really like trade. This language is really like a trade language. It's not set up for us to take it to higher levels because we can't express certain levels of compassion like other languages do in the English language. Okay, real talk. So us taking those elements, pimping it, putting that alphabet on the stroll to bring us something back, we kind of evolve. We evolve like Malcolm from the streets to become a minister. Okay, so evolution comes to play. So the caddy, which is misconstrued as a chariot of the pimping or whatever, is now the time vessel for the messengers. I love all of that because it takes everything and gives a whole different dimension of understanding.
Well,
all right. It's like a comfortable complex. It's not overly scientific. Like you got to know the Egyptian wall to read what's happening on this cover. You can get into basic common sense, white, black, green, whatever you are, and just get into basic human factor and study time, motivation. Pimping is motivation. If you take it negative or positive.
Right.
Okay. It's motivation to go and do something that's beyond whatever you would think.
Yeah, and so, I think
yeah,
too with the cover, that's one of the things that also impressed me as somebody that wasn't trying to learn and understand as much as I could about the world. It was the different generations of leaders tied into the time travel. It wasn't like this is only the Black Watch movement in 1990, 89.
Correct.
This has been happening for centuries. And that's
correct. And that's a deep assessment because now we get out of the rap thing. Okay. At any time and day at the Black Watch office, we can have 50, 60 people, bro. All right. And that's not even all of the membership that's around the city. Why go do a cover and just put their ugly faces on the cover? For what reason? Everything from your cover, your music, everything has to be detailed in consciousness if you're trying to get a consistent message out. All right. If I'm a gangster rapper, everything is going to be put around the theme of gangster. I'm going to tell stories about bullet holes in my body. I'm always have my gun on the cover. I'm always have a big booty girl, whatever plays in that world. So in the theme of consciousness, everything is what is it called? An Easter egg for further understandings, and that's what we were doing those covers for, because most people who followed us, or a percentage of them, were studying sacred geometry or in some kind of, higher understanding. Our core audience was that. Okay. And then it became hip hop. So we always designed our music and our covers and everything, our garb, everything around just continuing to plant the science of culture. Find your culture. If you're Irish, be proud. If you're Brazilian, be proud. Find out who your ancestors were. There was no ancestry.com for you to send your hairs in and go find my DNA. There was none of that. It was about research. And when you research, you increase your knowledge, which was our purpose. So
Yeah.
see how that all comes home. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And then when we flip it on the back cover and it's more of the picture of X-Clan and it also has the SA mandate, how did you guys decide to do that on the back cover?
Well, we had to notice that we were recruiting. You know what I'm saying? This is the highest level recruitment. There's a company that invested with us to broadcast worldwide. So now we don't have to go to just Brooklyn rallies anymore. We're recruiting now in Canada, in Hawaii. You know, fan letters are coming from everywhere. So now the creed on the back is, you know, freedom or death. Keep that mind state wherever you are, and you are part of this movement. Humble yourself to the elements that make you better. Instead of fighting, you know what I'm saying, this resistance, you can be so resistant that you can front on elements of yourself. Be humble to it, and you can hear. People are older now and they can understand that. Back then, no. You know, they either got off on the music or that we were different or whatever it was. So on the backside, we get away from the sacred geometry, the time machine, the this, that, and the other, and get into cold hard facts. We're at war. This is our movement for people who have that understanding. Join us, freedom or death. The symbol is not Lumumba. Lumumba's the founder of the movement. The artist chose to put him on his knee because he was teaching them about how he had to be humble to come to a further understanding of himself. Otherwise, he just would have been a rap manager for hip hop groups or agent or whatever. Okay?
Right.
Now you're stepping up and founding a movement. You're taking a little bit of your father and a little bit about what you've learned or what hip hop needs and put it in one place. I was immediately intrigued because I'm a scientific poet and I don't rhyme like my comrades, Jungle Brothers, you know, different artists that I grew up with, Quest, all of them were just enjoying matching syllables, okay, and then having a name in the game. I wanted to vessel knowledge and where I came from. You know what I'm saying? My family is heavy in teaching me sciences. So, you know, and how to relate to people. You know, I probably would have been a preacher or something or a reverend or something, you know what I'm saying? As far as in their intention of churchianity with blackness and so on. But now Blackwards was offering me a chance to do both the hip hop that I was coming to love and being able to be a worldwide speaker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Purpose. So,
Absolutely.
you know, so that was the era of purpose for me. And those covers, every time we were designing, it was like, okay, we're gonna do the crossroads, we're gonna have the leaders here, and then everybody starts throwing in the pot. You know, the glyphics in the clan situation, you know, making sure that's accurate and a little message and Easter eggs to people, man. All of that was part of it. And whoever paid attention, we only want to deal with the willing. We want to deal with the conversation that you're having, like, yo, man, I paid a little bit more attention than the average dude who just liked your music. I live for this. That's what it's all about, brother.
So do I. So now when you look back at the legacy, what would you say is the legacy of To the East Blackwards, the cover?
I think it's still unraveling because I'm learning from it. You know, I moved out to the West 20 years ago, and I came out here to be a study of learning how to increase the impact of my music because I was sampling all my life. So when I linked up to the underground culture out here, I see we had a different definition to that. When I look at the gang culture, we had a different definition to them. And not just because we were choosing funk, it was because what I was rhyming on top of that funk. You have 20 records and my record being played with all this funk that's out here, the message is totally different. Okay? Some of them learned from that. They didn't have to go to jail to learn 5% mathematics or a lesson from Noble Drew Ali or Master Farrakhan or something. You know what I'm saying? So they never had to go to those places. My album might have been the stopping point before going to prison because California music glorifies prison life. both on the street and behind the bars. So to know that my music was like, yo, there's an alternative. I felt something different about my message. Okay, because New York is more culture. There's not too much African culture out here. It's not too much grassroots. There's powerful movements out here. It's Black Panthers, it's different organizations. But you know, there's very few movements in music that say, yo, while you're at the party, think about this. And then a person get a research point from a punchline and say, damn, what's a leg bar? Or what does this freedom or death thing mean? Who's Sonny Carson? That can happen in the midst of a rhyme with Funk and Lesson when you finally buy the album and get home and you say, damn, what is this dude saying? He ain't saying drive by, shoot this one, kill that, funky hoe. He ain't saying this. He's saying something different. I get approached every day out here to say thank you. It's not like thank you for a rap. I remember, and they start doing the dance. I get that too. But I hear thank yous for people that elevated their frame of mind and said, yo, man, I was getting ready to bang myself out of existence, dog. That's different.
And that's the powerful legacy. Well, Brother
Yes,
Jay, thank you so much for coming through the cover story. We appreciate it.
Thank you, family. Always a pleasure, man. Much success to the program, man. Intelligence.
In the beginning, hip-hop was ruled by the East Coast. Then the West Coast rose to prominence thanks to gangster rap.
Straight out of Compton, crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube.
Hip-hop changed the world. Gangster rap changed the narrative.
I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
And then changed the world again.
Cause I'll come and take your life away.
The history of gangster rap features unheard stories, unseen photos and documents, all with exclusive interviews from the founders and players who shaped gangster rap.
I think a real gangster rapper has to scare you a little bit.
The history of gangster rap written by veteran rap journalist Soren Baker. In stores now.
Yo, what up? This is DJ Quick. Be sure to pick up my homeboy Soren Baker's book, The History of Gangster Rap, if you really want to know what we do.